Welcome everyone. Today I'm providing an update on my mango trees in Southern California. Some are in pots, but most are in the ground. I'll do a flashback of some of the mangoes I harvested last year. So sit back, relax, as we cover mango trees growing in my backyard. Look at this beauty right here. This is the Maha Chanok. It is doing the best out of all the mangoes that are planted in the ground. It's doing amazing. The leaves look the best. It is flowered incredibly. Look at all the flowers. And then it is putting on fruit all over the place. We are going to have an issue with too much fruit. We're definitely going to have to thin this tree right here. But look at this, just an amazing specimen. Let me come around a little bit. Try to come around without falling. Beautiful. Look at that, fruit everywhere. Look over here. That's exactly what we want. Now I know the tree is on the borderline of whether or not we should let it fruit. We got about 1 inch or so diameter on the base. We got a height of right about almost 6 feet. And we have a width of about 6 feet as well. We should be good. We're going to be careful in how much fruit we let keep on the tree and come to maturity. Probably maybe about 8 pieces, even though it looks like it wants to put on about 50 to 100. So this is the Maha Chanok, looking really good. I'm gonna move over, pass up the grapes here. And we have the Angie, this little guy. Again, when you have a grafted tree, it is a mature tree, just looks little. It's a branch taken off of a mature tree, and so it is at sexual maturity, wants to fruit. This guy's way too little. I'm gonna break off these flowers and not let it set fruit, and we're gonna let this focus on growing. But that's the Angie. It's looking okay. I mean, it's looking good, it's just not growing as quick as we would want it. But overall, the leaves look healthy. It's in good shape. And we're gonna let it focus on growing up and becoming a bigger tree. We have 2 guys in pots over here. We have the ice cream mango and we have the Lancetilla, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But let's start with the ice cream. A couple of things here. Pot's way too big. I should have up-potted it slow. Creates a lot of issues. Not the least of which is the fact that it's highly immobile. So when weather, wind events, things like that come across this area, it is very difficult to move this. And such, the leaves take a lot of damage and so forth. This tree has been the most consistent in terms of producing fruit. I've gotten fruit off this tree for 2 or 3 seasons. So we're happy about that. It's starting to put on some flowers. Averages somewhere around 10 or so pieces of fruit. That's not great. We want more out of this. But it has been my most consistent producer. And we hope that it flowers more and gets us more fruit this year. That is the ice cream. Let's move over to the Lancetilla. And this guy puts on big fruit when it flowers and fruits and holds the fruit. And right now it looks like this year it wants to put on a lot of fruit. The biggest issue is that the fruit is so large that it overwhelms the tree many times. And I think eventually, you see there some mulch in there as well as some fruit scraps. Eventually I want this to, I'm probably gonna put this in the ground and let it grow up to be a big tree like it wants to be. They say that, some sites say that this is a condo mango. I vehemently disagree. This is a tree that looks like it wants to be big, and frankly needs to be big to hold the size of the fruit that it produces. All right, so those are the two potted mangoes that we have of size here on the property. All right, so let's do a quick look back on my ice cream mango tree from last year. And you can see it has several pieces of fruit on it that fully ripened. And one more thing to take note of. In my region of Southern California, Inland Empire, mangoes ripen very late. They usually start becoming ripe around August, September, and they last until November, December. All right, walk with me up this way. Got more mangoes up in my highest level of the property, and I want to show you a fail. This is an example of a fail. This was a cotton candy mango. Still is. It's trying to grow back. The graft line is here. So everything above here is cotton candy. Below that is rootstock. It's trying to put out another cotton candy branch. These leaves have all burnt up. I let it set fruit. Look at this. See that right there? That's not a cotton candy branch. That is whatever the rootstock is. But anyways, I let it fruit. The one piece of fruit that it made was pretty decent. But this is what happens when you let a very small and mature sized mango put on fruit. It can completely destroy your fruit tree, not just stunt the growth sometimes, but actually destroy it. So the plan is going to be to replace it. We're going to get another mango tree, probably a different variety. I'm thinking about getting an Irwin. I just like the color on the Irwin, kind of a novelty thing. And we're going to place that right here, and we're not going to make the same mistake that we did of letting it fruit too young. Okay, we have the famed sugar loaf right here. This little guy hasn't done the greatest, but is doing okay. It's a little bit of a sprawling type of growth. Hasn't grown very high, but the leaves look healthy. Hasn't grown very tall, but the leaves look healthy. And we're just going to continue to feed it, nurture it, and hopefully we get some more growth. And eventually, in 2 to 3 years or a decade, here in California, we will get some mangoes off of this sugar loaf. But that's the sugar loaf. It's doing okay. Let's move over to the fruit punch. And what you see around it are actually barriers that I put up for the summer when the heat gets around over 95. I'll surround it on, that's facing the south, where most of my sun comes from. See, the sun is right behind this palm tree. That's where most of my sun comes from. And I try to protect, I do protect the lower halves of the mango trees from our heat that starts getting up in the 100 to 110 sometimes and higher. Puts a lot of pressure on the mangoes. Anyways, fruit punch produced fruit last year. I did let it fruit. Probably shouldn't have. It's still too small, but it's doing okay. I'm not loving these branches. You guys have some tips out there. I feel like I know the branches look weak. Look how it's drooping over. And we're not getting the branching I really want out of this. Fruit, if I let this fruit here, see how it's already bending just on the weight of the flowers? It's definitely going to collapse and drain and strain the tree if I allow these branches to fruit. Maybe this one over here, which looks a little stronger and shorter, but at the end of the day, and that one down there, at the end of the day, my instincts tell me that I should not let it hold fruit, and we should focus on the long game, which is letting it grow out and become a bigger tree, and eventually have really great production of mangoes. That is the fruit punch right here. Okay, here's my fruit punch mango tree. Has one fruit on it, and I noticed that the fruit has fallen. I don't know if it's been a day or two. I saw it a couple of days ago. Some ants on it. Doesn't look like the skin has been punctured, which is great. Soft. This thing is ready to eat. Came off, it was right there. See that? See that? Came right off. Fell on the ground. Luckily it had this nice soft mulch landing to land on. And this is a perfectly edible fruit. The first one coming off this tree. Fruit punch. Really excited to taste it. Tree is doing well. Look at that. That's cool. Mangoes. This is the orange sherbet, another highly sought after variety. If I can get my Maha Chanok and my orange sherbet and my ice cream, between those three, I'm hoping to have maybe 30 pieces of fruit this year. That would be a record. And I'll feel like I'm in a much better shape to enjoy more mangoes, but also give some away. I only gave away one last year. And I think that was to my father. And he said it was the best mango he's ever had in his life, which was incredible. And so we want to be in that position where we can enjoy more mangoes, but also give more away and share the joy of getting homegrown mangoes, which if you haven't had a homegrown mango, it is a completely different experience than what you get from a store-bought. Anyways, here's the orange sherbet. Let's look at the base again. The base, we got about 1 inch diameter. The height on it is only about 4 feet. The width of it is about 4.5 feet. Borderline, really borderline, but it's putting on tons of flower. It is saying it wants to have little baby mangoes in the worst way. And I'm starting to see, looks like little small immature fruit. Looks like it's starting to form. So we'll monitor this, but this is the orange sherbet. This one I think I'm gonna let grow, and we're going to hopefully get a nice harvest of orange sherbet. Again, like in the Maha Chanok, if a lot of these flowers take and hold fruit, we're not gonna let it hold on the tree to maturity. It will overwhelm the tree. I'm thinking again, like the Maha Chanok, probably keep it to about 8 or 10. And then maybe the next year, I can let it go a little more wild and produce more fruit. Anyways, this is the orange sherbet. Not looking too bad. Now let's move from the orange sherbet up the hill. And we'll try to do it without busting my butt. I got on kind of some sandals. I don't have my hiking, gardening boots on. So we're gonna be careful and move slow. Here is the sweet tart. Same story as before. Let's look how thin that is. That is a branch that's been plugged onto a rootstock, a mature branch that wants to produce fruit. But we're not gonna let it. Just wanted to show you guys what the flowers look like and how even the smallest mangoes want to produce fruit before I break out the flowers and let it focus on growing. Look at that. I think I'm starting to see fruit there. So we're gonna break all that off and let that focus on growing. But this is a sweet tart. I've heard good things about this variety growing in California. But it's gonna be a minute before we get this guy up and running. So my whole plan is, let's get some of the bigger ones, like the ones in the pots and the Maha Chanok and the orange sherbet. Let's get those producing. And then let's be patient on the rest of these. Let's be patient on the sugar loaf and the fruit punch and the sweet tart. and let's let them get up to a good size. So we've got a short-term strategy, and then we've got a long-term strategy. All right, so that is it for today. Just wanted to give you a sense of all the mangoes growing on the property. If we do a quick count, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the ground, and we've got 2. I've got a couple other small ones in pots. I got a Neelam that's looking a little ragged. So a full 10 that we have in pots. And that's it for today. We got mild, decent weather. Looks like it's gonna be the highs of the 70s. And I have a feeling we're gonna have a really hot summer this year. I just have that feeling in my bones. It's gonna be a hot one. So we're gonna have to make sure we protect these mangoes through the summer. Thank you for watching and enjoying, and hope you enjoyed the content and following our progress of mangoes here in the orchard. Always throw your tips in. I'm not an expert, I'm learning. And so I have friends and colleagues that are doing a much better job of growing mangoes in California. Some of the tips that they give are to make sure that you use, they do a lot of grafting. Get a seedling and graft onto the seedling, let the seedling grow and acclimate to your climate, and then get some grafts to graft onto it, and you'll be in a much better position. Or get varieties like Manila is a variety that grows really well in California. Get some varieties that will do well in our climate. All right, got down the hill, didn't fall. You guys take care. Thanks for hanging out on the mango episode. Talk to you soon.